When you picture a massive container ship out on the ocean, you probably don't think of it as a weapon in war. But what if I told you it is? Right now, there's a fierce, kind of invisible battle for control of the seas. It's this high-stakes game of global trade. And the players aren't just companies. They're entire nations armed with billions of dollars and some incredibly cunning strategies. So the big question is, how do they do it? How do they make sure their shipping giants are the ones ruling the waves? It's definitely not just about building bigger ships. No, it's about a secret playbook of government support. And in this explainer, we're going to open that playbook right up. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about what winning even looks like in this world. Then we're going to peek inside the government's toolkit. We'll get into a fascinating tale of two different tax systems, uncover the real price of all this power, and see why just throwing money at a problem is enough. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by looking at the Global Balancing Act.
Okay, let's dive in. How do governments stack the deck in their favor? Well, the answer lies in this really powerful strategy called shipping aid policy.
Think of it like a master plan, or maybe even the ultimate cheat code for a country's entire shipping industry. It's a whole set of government actions designed to boost everything, from the companies themselves to the ships they sail, and even the crews who work on them. And make no mistake, the goals here are huge. We're talking about gaining a major competitive advantage on the world stage, making sure their own shipping giants don't just survive but thrive, and even developing world-class ports. It's a grand strategy to, well, rule the waves. But how do they actually pull off this grand vision? Well, governments have a special toolkit for this, and we're about to take a look at what's inside. You know, it really boils down to two main weapons in their arsenal. On one hand, you've got the brute force of direct financial aid. Think huge government-backed loans and straight-up cash subsidies. And on the other hand, you have the more surgical approach, tax incentives. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Let's talk about something called a policy bank. This is not your regular neighborhood bank. This is a state-owned bank that exists for pretty much one reason: to carry out the government's direct orders. And the chain of command here is just crystal clear. The government decides on a policy, it gives an order to the bank's head, who they appointed, and just like that, a loan is sent to the specific company they've targeted. There's no saying no. If you disobey, you're out. It's a direct pipeline of power, and countries like Korea have absolutely perfected it. But you know, loans are just one part of the equation. The real genius, the smartest tool in the box, is often hidden in the tax system. This is where the game gets truly strategic. So, you've got two main options here. On one side, there's the standard corporate income tax, which can be a total roller coaster. Your tax bill shoots up when you make a lot of profit. But on the other side, you have the ship tonnage tax. This is like sailing on calm seas. It's just a predictable, fixed fee based on the size of your fleet, not your profit. One is a wild ride, the other is a steady, predictable course. We all get how income tax works, right? The more money you make, the more tax you pay. It's simple. And for a government, that's great when times are good. But the shipping industry is famous for its massive booms and busts, so that volatility can feel like whiplash. Now, let's actually put some numbers on this to see the difference. Let's say a company has a great year and makes a $2 million profit. Under a 30% corporate income tax, they're hit with a $600,000 tax bill. Ouch! But with the tonnage tax, their bill is based on the ship's size. And by the way, a gross ton isn't a measure of weight, it's about the ship's total internal volume. So for a 10,000 gross ton ship, their bill is just $200,000. That's a massive, game-changing difference. And this chart just says it all. Look at that difference. That extra $400,000 in savings, that's not just a number on a spreadsheet. That's money for a new ship, for opening a new route. It's another weapon in the war for global trade. So it's really no wonder that the world's biggest shipping powerhouses, we're talking Germany, Japan, Korea, have all jumped on the tonnage tax bandwagon. It's just the smarter play in this high-stakes game. Meanwhile, other places, like Taiwan, have been a bit slower to make the switch. Okay. But here's the catch, because there's always a catch. This river of government money and tax breaks, it's not a free lunch. There is a price to be paid for all this power.
So what is it? What's the quid pro quo? What do these companies have to give their nations in return for this golden ticket to success?
Well, here are the strings attached. These companies have to hire a certain number of their own country's seafarers. They have to build their new ships in domestic shipyards, boosting the local economy. Basically, they have to support other government policies whenever they're asked. They become an extension of the state, a powerful partnership for sure, but one that comes with a price.
Now, with a toolkit this powerful, you'd think victory would be almost guaranteed, right? But what happens when the captain of the ship is just asleep at the wheel? Well, a cautionary tale from Korea gives us the answer.
And here's the hard truth of it all. Government aid is not a silver bullet. You can't just plug a hole in a sinking ship with a pile of cash. The support can be like a powerful wind in the sails, but it can't save a ship that has a broken rudder. At the end of the day, it really comes down to management.
For a perfect example, look at the tale of two Korean shipping giants, HMM and SM Shipping. Both of them were showered with government support. But here's what happened. HMM, thanks to smart management, used that support to grow stronger and sail right to the top of the global charts. SM Shipping, on the other hand, struggled and eventually sank under the weight of its own poor management. It's a powerful lesson. Having a sharp captain is just as crucial as having a strong ship.
So, after this whole journey into the world of shipping aid, what's the final takeaway? What's the North Star that guides this unbelievably complex global game?
In the end, it's really a high-wire act. It's this delicate dance between national interest and corporate incentives. It's a symphony where the government's policies and the company's own performance have to be in perfect harmony. If there's one false note, the whole thing can come crashing down.
And that brings us right to the horizon. We're living in an era of shifting global alliances, of climate change and rising sea levels. The old maps and the old tools just might not be enough anymore. So the big question is, what new tools, what new strategies will the next generation of maritime powers need to conquer the seas of tomorrow?